everybody. Thanks for joining me as we take a look at your weekend forecasts for December 16th through the 18th. And we are obviously going to focus heavily on our snowstorm, which is ongoing. It looks like it's shaping up kind of pretty much how was expected, with some decent amount of snow, some rain in a few spots, and long duration. Although certainly as we take a look at a few things, it's going to look like maybe that's not the case, but it is happening. So first of all, if we look at the satellite imagery here, first of all, our big upper level primary low that got everything started is still swirling over the upper Midwest, still causing havoc there. But what's happening here, and you can just start to really see it on satellite imagery here, we're really starting to wrap up our secondary low here. You can kind of see the convection kind of blowing up here over eastern or over kind of Montreal and areas like that. And what's happening there is that is the beginning of this storm really developing. The surface low pressure here is down around New Jersey, and it's going to take a long time to skirt along the coast, basically southern coast of New England, and that's going to continue to throw moisture in our direction. We're not going to snow heavy the whole time. It was never going to happen that we were going to snow heavy for 40 straight hours. If that happened, we'd end up with like 60 inches of snow, and that's not happening. But it is going to snow heavy at times. It's also going to lighten up at times. When it lightens up in the valleys, particularly the valleys, when you get lighter, it's a little bit warmer there, and you're getting some mix in with some rain. But when the precipitation comes down a little heavier, you're getting snow. That's going to cut back on your precipitation amounts quite a bit. At the mountaintops, where you get a little bit more lift, in addition with help from some of the terrain, that will continue to give you a little bit more precipitation, which is why the mountains are going to do really, really well out of this. But it's a big deal event everywhere. Certainly in terms of the power threat, basically look out your window. We haven't gotten quite enough snow yet for power to become an issue, but if the trees look like they're basically covered in snow on all sides, at wet, sticky snow, you should be concerned about power. That's true in my house, certainly. I'm sure it's true for a lot of you. So I think the power threats, the highest power threats are still where I said yesterday, but basically everybody still needs to be concerned about that. The only place I think is pretty safe is still the Connecticut River Valley. I think it's pretty safe power-wise out of this storm. Otherwise, the rest of us need to pay attention. Here's a closer-in view at the satellite, and you can really see you're starting to get a little bit of feathering here along the as the storm really kind of wraps up along the east coast. That's indicative of pretty rapid development. The storm isn't actually going to get overly strong. This isn't going to be like a 970 low out over the Atlantic, but it is going to develop pretty rapidly over the next couple of days. We're at about 1,000 millibars now with it. It looks most of the models take it down about 988 over the next 24 hours. So that's certainly pretty good strengthening. It's not a rapid strengthener, but it is a pretty slow mover, which is why we're going to get a big storm out of it. Okay. In terms of radar, you can see you look and you say, well, boy, the back edge of the precipitation is here in western PA, and that's true. But we're continuing to throw moisture to the east, and the storm is not moving much. And what's going to happen is, instead of all the moisture kind of being drawn up through this kind of moisture stream that goes all the way back to the primary system, eventually that's going to kind of cut off, and it's going to kind of sit and pivot over the top of over us here. And so even areas here that we're getting some drier air in, this will fill in, and certainly as we continue to go and as we continue to push moisture onshore. And so in this phase of the storm, we're kind of in a pulse mode here across southern Vermont at the moment, although it looks to be getting steadier just to our south, but we could get into some more of these. You get these little dry pockets where almost looks like it's going to stop snowing, and then for another half an hour later, it's snowing pretty hard again. So that's what we're looking for a lot of the day today. And then actually, as the storm and the heavy and wet snows today, we do start to get into some drier snow. I think we'll have some fluffier snow on top of this that comes in later on this afternoon through the overnight. When snow will pile up pretty good again, it looks like, as the system goes. Originally it looked like most of the snow would come in the first half, but I think at this point we're actually looking at we might actually get even more snow tonight than we did last night. I got about 4 inches so far at my house. I wouldn't be surprised if I got more than that tonight, and we'll certainly get a decent amount during the day today as well. Let's take a look at, this is just wind stream showing you where air is moving at the surface, and you can see we are just crushing easterly flow here across, this is New Jersey down here, but across all of New England, and so that is just pushing moisture onshore here, and this easterly fetch here as the storm doesn't really come to the north and kind of turn everything to the northeast, but kind of glides along for quite a while along the southern coast of just south of Long Island and across eastern Massachusetts, probably near Cape Cod. It's just going to push moisture on top of New England all day long today, which is what's going to keep that precipitation going. And then finally, when it does start to wrap up, you get kind of the back edge of that. Sometimes you can get some pretty good snow growth back there because you've had all this moisture dumped on top of that. So that's why I think we're going to get a decent amount of snow tonight. In terms of overall, before we got to that, in terms of snowfall forecasts, I think we're going to stay with the same map we showed you yesterday. I think this is pretty accurate still. We're looking at 4 to 7 inches right in the Connecticut River Valley. A lot of that probably is going to come actually overnight tonight. They'll change over. You could see some of it. Certainly the upper Connecticut River Valley probably sees a little bit more of that today. 6 to 12 inches in general for the foothills, both east and west of the greens. Most areas along the greens are looking at 10 to 16 inches of snow. And I still think 14 to 20 for the higher elevations. Some of the tops of the ski areas probably get 2 feet of snow out of this. In terms of the rest of the weekend after that, sorry I didn't mention that too much, but essentially we quiet out. So we're in the low 30s today, snow tonight, upper 20s snow. Tomorrow it's basically flurries left over in the morning. I think accumulating snow is done by about daybreak tomorrow. Temperatures tomorrow are about freezing on average for all of us. We cool back down. Clouds are still sort of hanging around on Saturday night. Temperatures in the low or in the 20s. Sunday is a little bit breezy, not real breezy. Sometimes you get real breezy after a storm, not real breezy. Actually, Sunday's a really good ski day. 30 degrees for a high. Sunday night we get a bit of a front to move through. Could have a few flurries. That won't be widespread, but just a few flurries. And we'll get pretty breezy on Sunday night, and that'll hold temperatures up a little bit with the clouds and the breeze. But we're looking to get pretty cold to start next week. In terms of those So let's look at those weekend forecast details. Snow will continue from now till Saturday morning. Rain will mix with snow in the valley locations, mostly areas below 750 feet. Snow is heavy and wet, so power outages are likely as the snow continues to add up, particularly if it looks sticky out there right now, you can kind of assume for the rest of the morning it will be, and you should be prepared for power outages. Driving conditions will get better tomorrow, Saturday afternoon. Sunday will bring some sun, but also a few flurries, particularly late in the day. Next chance for impactful weather comes at the end of next week. Another big storm headed in our direction. Lots of details to worry about. Snow, rain, nothing. Hard to tell yet. But anyways, another big storm is in our area for the end of next week. All right. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining me all week. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel before, I would encourage you to do so. Helps make sure you don't miss any of my videos. And I want to give a quick shout out to all my patrons who help support what I do here. Thank you for that help. And if you're interested in becoming a patron, there's a link in the description below that describes how you